Yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again, fitness fragrance review time. But I have to say, it's a little bit of a twist today. I did hurt my knee. I twisted my knee, speaking of the word twist, at the gym on one of the weights machines. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do today, but I thought I'd try and do a review anyway. And it is a very, very different one. It's this one here. It's a body mist or body spray, it says, by Champneys. Now, I wouldn't normally do a body spray review, but obviously I do a lot of Lush ones, and that's because they almost spray like a fragrance. And as you would have just seen here, this one sprays just like an eau de toilette does, an eau de parfum. It's not like that high-pressured body spray, which you tend to get, or which what I associate with body sprays anyway. They're more like an underarm deodorant in the way they come out. This one, though, comes out very much like a watery mist, so I think it's worth doing for a review. And it is called Champneys Active Body Spray. So there's nothing really exciting about it. Champneys, again, my dad buys these. This is my dad's fragrance, by the way. He's out, so I thought I'd take it. But yeah, it's a brand that I don't know really too much about. They do a lot of things that are related to spa. You know, they call themselves like a wellness spa. And, you know, it'd be like shower gels, shampoos, all those sorts of things. I think it's what they're more suited towards rather than fragrances as such. But they do body sprays, and I'm very looking forward to trying this one. So if you haven't seen my fitness fragrance reviews before, I do a morning workout. So I go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while wearing a fragrance. And we rank it on 5 categories. So we'll look at its price / value for money. We'll look at its versatility, how much you can use it in different situations. We'll look at projections, how much I'm noticing during my run. Compliment factor, do I think people will say good things about it? And also longevity, where we'll just spray the fragrance essentially before I go to the gym. 3 hours will go by, I do my work, I have the shower, can I still smell the fragrance? So what I'm going to quickly do, there isn't a huge note breakdown for this, because again, it's not really a fragrance as such. I'm just going to go through what it tells you that's in it and what I can kind of detect from those initial impressions. So you can get this one in a bigger bottle size. This must have been part of a gift set, I think, because it's only a 50ml bottle, but I've seen online 150ml bottles, and it did mention ginger as a note in this one, but on here it only mentions 3 notes in particular. And the top one is oud, the middle one there is spicy cardamom, and then in the base it's a bit of earthy musk. So I'm just going to spray it again just to see what I can detect. Now, I'm not expecting it to be a high quality oud or anything like that. Now, I'll be honest, this smells like something I've smelled before, but I cannot at the moment tell you off the top of my head from those initial impressions what it is. But while it sprays like a mist, as you can see, it's made a very wet patch on my arm. It does smell like a very much a man's body spray, a very generic body spray. Maybe that's all I'm getting. Maybe I've just smelt this smell so many times, it's easy to pick up. Yes, you detect the oud, but it's a very synthetic oud. But I think that's a good thing. I think, for me personally, when I've had high quality oud fragrances or smelt high quality oud fragrances, never been a huge fan of them, whether that's a Tiziana Tarenti type fragrance or an Acqua di Parma oud. They're always a little bit heavy, a bit skanky for me. This one's a lot more wearable, and that cardamom again has sweetened everything up, made it a little bit more pleasant there, so, or I should say the musk has, because it does have that clean washing vibe, and there is that spice from the cardamom, which again, used very much in date night type fragrances. And yeah, combined together, it's just made this very wearable, masculine type fragrance, a sort of gentlemanly type fragrance. And yeah, it's very pleasant. And that's all I'm really getting at the moment initially. Again, the oud is certainly not prominent here. I think it's definitely adding a bit of darkness to the fragrance, but it's not adding anything too skanky, too animalic, which oud can be. It's certainly not animalic at all. But maybe that's the musk just toning it down alongside that spicy cardamom. I never think cardamom's a particularly strong note in fragrances. It's just that nice, subtle, alluring type scent which draws people a bit closer. Used in a lot of date night fragrances. But anyway, what we're going to do, we are going to go out for my run now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, my knee is going to be okay for this. We're going to do the first 2 categories. We'll look at price / value for money, and we'll also look at versatility. I'll see you out there. Well, we've got a very windy morning, and it's just started to rain, but the forecast does look better than it was originally, so fingers crossed we're going to have a full fitness fragrance review today. Because some other good news is my knee is currently feeling alright. I essentially did it on a squat machine, a sit down squat machine yesterday. Felt absolutely fine. I do it all the time, and when I finished it I was fine, and then I got up off the machine and I was like, oh, my knee really hurts. And it's only really when I have my knee straight I can feel it, so very bizarre, but it's thankfully okay running. And even more good news, my cold, slowly but surely, seems to be clearing out, so I don't feel quite as bunged up at the moment, which is quite nice, because otherwise, after a few minutes of these clips, I tend to find I need to blow my nose, I'm gasping for air. But anyway, enough talking about that. Let's talk about this fragrance then from Champneys, the Active Body Spray. Not a very fancy name, is it? Now looking online, it looks like you can get this in about 150ml, and it's around that sort of £15 to £20 mark. Do I think that's good value for money for this one? Well look, if you're comparing it to the Lush body spray, which is twice the price of this, to be honest with you, no. It's, you know, I said at the start of the video, I said, oh, you know, it's a scent I'm familiar with. It's definitely something I've had that smells like this. I think it really is just the fact it's very generic. I think I've had loads of body sprays that smell a little bit like this. And while I like the fact it does spray more like a fragrance than a body spray, like a pressurised body spray, it is very boring. It's not harsh, it's nothing like that. But it doesn't smell like it's really natural or high quality or anything like that. And again, look, you look at the word active. This is kind of built more, I think, for throwing in something like a gym bag. But then when you look at the notes, it almost feels like it contradicts that. You know, when you've got oud, and yes, it's a wearable synthetic oud, and spicy cardamom, they don't really, to me, feel like they're linked to being active, like an active man. They're much more of an office, you know, man's type fragrance. And I think this is where this one still works best, to be honest with you. Obviously, we'll talk about that versatility later on. But that's what I still feel for me. This is a general, you know, 25 and up sort of man's fragrance. But it's very easy to pull off, very easy to wear, but it doesn't break any ground. And if I had to spend £15 on an actual fragrance, or this body mist, I still think I'd look at some of those cheaper brands, maybe like Calvin Klein's, that sell fragrances around a similar range, and give you that youthful, masculine type vibe. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's nice, it's pleasant, but it's nothing groundbreaking. I think the notes contradict the name a little bit, and that would have put me off buying it probably in the first place. Anyway, we're going to now go on to versatility. So moving on to versatility for Champneys Active Body Spray. How much can you dress this one up? Dress this one down, different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, I think first of all we need to kind of really just sort of define or describe what actually a body spray is. And when I think of body sprays, you know, I always think of back when I was at school and you're in the change rooms, or, you know, you've just started a new job. They're the sort of thing you throw in your bag to kind of mask the fact you might smell a little bit sweaty or a bit hot and bothered, and hopefully neutralise those odours. They're not really meant to be worn like a fragrance where you're trying to actually deliberately smell nice. They're almost to try and keep bad smells off, rather than putting like a really strong scent on for people to notice. It's kind of to mask the fact you smell. That's how I think they're used. And the problem is, because I've tried so many Lush body sprays in recent times, they've kind of redefined, you know, what I think a body spray is, because they're so unique, they're so strong, and they act like a fragrance. This one isn't like that. Look, it does spray like a mist. It's a little more watery than your average body spray, but it is that kind of tame, generic, throw in your bag type of fragrance to stop you from smelling. And look, that's what they should be. Body spray shouldn't be particularly unique. They are kind of that dumb reach sort of thing, and they work to me more like an antiperspirant than an actual fragrance. So I think that, you know, with that in mind, this exactly ticks the box of what you want. You know, it's very much an easy to pull off, manly type fragrance, and I think everyone, if they do catch it, they're gonna, you know, they're not going to think you smell horrible or anything like that. You're not going to think you smell horrible, and it is exactly what it says on the tin. So look, it's very versatile. Body spray should be very versatile, and I think any occasion, unless you're trying to make a real statement, you know, suit and tie, date night thing, this is absolutely fine. This will work in almost every other occasion for, you know, many different ages, and for that reason I'm just going to say versatility is a 9.5 out of 10. Body spray should be, and this one definitely is. But the notes seem quite unique, but the scent certainly isn't, and that does make it versatile. When we get back, though, we will talk about projection. Is it keeping the smell off of me, the bad sweaty smells that I must have, and am I actually noticing it at all? So there we are, workout done. Knee was absolutely fine. I can feel it now, but during the run it was fine. It's now time to spray my room. So if you haven't seen this, essentially this is my projection test. So I'm going to do 3 sprays with this one. I used to do 5. Sorry, Dad. And essentially, I just want to see how much this fills up a room. So if this was an office, if a colleague came in, would they notice? If you're obviously at home with a family or friend, notice that you sprayed something in your room or sprayed something on yourself that's filling up a room. So that's what I'm testing for there. Obviously, I'll go downstairs in a minute. I'll let that sit for 10 minutes and we'll talk about how much I noticed it during my run. I'm going to spray my arms as well. It's just about 9:05. And this is to test for longevity. So obviously I'll do my workout at the gym, have a shower. And yeah, we'll just see if I still notice it after doing all that. So I won't reapply over the next few hours and then we can test for longevity. But yeah, let's head downstairs, have a coffee, can't wait, and we'll talk about how much I noticed the fragrance. It has just come to me. I can tell you now exactly what this fragrance smells like. I used to have one, I believe it was Lynx, but there's also like another brand called Axe, but it was called Dark Temptation. It was like a pulse point spray. So you just rubbed it on your pulse points essentially. And I had that one for a number of years. My mum also bought me one that was like, it was like a Lynx chocolate, but it wasn't called Lynx chocolate. It's essentially got that vibe. If you know that Lynx chocolate vibe, that Dark Temptation vibe, that's the scent DNA. This has definitely got that chocolatey feel. But obviously chocolate isn't listed, but maybe it's just that combination of that oud, that darkness, and obviously the other notes that are in it, that little bit of sparkling ginger, which they don't mention on this bottle, but they do on the bigger sizes. So I think it's all of that working combination to give off that slight chocolatey, or certainly dark masculine type smell. But yeah, projection during my run, did I notice it? No. And I think it, to be honest with you, it's a body spray, but this is not like a Lush one. It may spray like that. Lush are just a different level in terms of their body sprays. I don't expect body sprays to be long lasting again. They are for me, they're an odour neutraliser. And yeah, look, I don't think I smell at the minute. I hope I don't smell at the minute. But I'm not expecting this to fill up a room. I'm not expecting this to project. This is one you're going to kind of wear for yourself. Dumb reach. You're not going for compliments. You're going to try and smell clean and just stay from smelling. So what I'll do, I'll finish this coffee anyway. We'll head upstairs. You never know. Look, these are darker notes. So you never know. A bit of cardamom maybe. Again, tend to be notes that are in the base of fragrances. Bit of musk. That might just add to a little bit more longevity, or sorry, a little bit more projection than I think, but I'm pretty certain I'm not going to notice this one. I certainly didn't notice it during my run. Up we go. Let's see what we can detect. Oh, it's weird, my knee. It didn't hurt once running. Doesn't really hurt walking, but just standing still, it hurts. Anyway, stop moving. Hobbling at the minute. So, can I smell the fragrance at all? No, there's absolutely nothing. And I'll be honest with you, even when I left to go downstairs to have a drink, I couldn't even smell it then. This does not fill up a room. It's not meant to. And I find it really harsh giving it a 1 out of 10 here, but I have to because it doesn't fill up a room. Look, do I think it could project a little bit more? Yeah, look, some body sprays. I always remember when I went into school changing rooms, some people would douse themselves in Lynx or whatever they had, even Old Spice. I remember having an Old Spice spray. And it would almost take the oxygen away. They were so strong that they were very synthetic. I had a David Beckham one that had an orange lid and big silver bottle, and that was quite strong. Again, people would mention it if I've sprayed it, for a prolonged period of time. I don't think that one's going to do that, even if you oversprayed it. So I'm going to have to just stick with that score. But it is a body spray, and yeah, what do I really expect? But I'm hoping on longevity it might do a little bit later on. But what we're going to do, we are going to talk about compliment factor next while I walk to the gym. Do I think if someone notices this fragrance, they could get a compliment? Okay then, so moving on to compliment factor, do I think this Champneys active body spray could get you compliments? Well, I think if you use it right, absolutely yes. And I go back to when I used to work in a reception job. I used to have a little David Beckham spray, and I'd only apply it at lunchtime when I was going back ready to, do the afternoon shift. And body sprays for me are very much one of those. If you're you're going to apply them when you're kind of on the move, on the go, maybe moving from room to room. And I think if someone is with you or near you for that sort of first, 10-15 minutes when you're moving around, they're probably going to pick it up. I think after about half an hour that nobody's going to notice it, you're not going to get compliments. But this is a very nice, easy to pull off, quite seductive, alluring scent. And if someone does catch that, I think they're going to go, oh, I smelt something then, that was you when you went by, you smell really nice. And they're almost, because it's not very strong, they'll probably ask you, oh, what was that? Because, they didn't get a real strong whiff of it. It's not really aggressive and in your face. And I think in that sense, you will get confident. I think it's going to be very much one of those, essentially, that's going to give you a good initial impression. It's an initial impression, top up through the day type scent that someone may notice halfway through the day. But, you wouldn't put it on first thing in the morning and expect confidence at the end of the day. You wouldn't wear it to, you know, for a date night situation or, you know, a networking event or anything like that, because it's not going to have that lasting power. But for that initial blast, those first 10-15 minutes when you're moving about, you're busy, and you're not really even thinking about your spray yourself, you might just get the odd person that stops and goes, oh, you've got a nice spray on, I smell that, that's very nice. And it's just said, easy to wear, mass appealing, and that's always quite safe when you're talking about confidence. So I'm going to say confidence factor here, because I was very harsh on the projection. I'll give it an 8.5. Of course, if we get any at the gym today, when I am on the move, we'll bump it up to a 10. I've done no confidence, but to be honest with you, I can still smell it, but it's very, very faintly there. You're talking 15-20%, which is pretty weak. Normally, you know, I expect 30-40% at least by the time before I've got into the shower. But I think this one's going to completely wear off. So we'll have a shower, be about 12 by the time I'm out, and then we can give a score on longevity. Just gone 12. It's time to smell my arm and just see if I can smell any of this body spray. I'm not expecting much hope over this one. Yeah, look, it's completely gone, but that's what you'd expect with a body spray. Again, I touch back on it. Lush body sprays don't act like body sprays, and it's given me this false opinion that all of them that spray quite a big mist like this one are going to have the same performance, but it definitely doesn't. So if you're someone who wants strong body spray smells, I would still stick with the Lush ones because they are amazing. But if you wanted a body spray but yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than the ones that you get that are in those pressurised containers, I think this is a good place to look. But if you're looking for more performance and longevity, yeah, it's probably not the one to go for. Would I buy this one potentially over some of those ones that are a bit cheaper just to sort of stop me from smelling? Probably not. I'd still go for a fragrance overall because I just think that's what I want. I want to kind of stand out a little bit more. But do I think it'll do that exact job in terms of stopping you from smelling, being good to throw in your bag at the end of, to get you through the day? Yes, I do. And that means it ticks the boxes really. So I'm not going to mark it down too much here. I think I need to score it on longevity based on the fact it's a body spray. And to be honest, it lasted all up until I had a shower, so nearly 3 hours essentially. So that isn't bad at all, is it really? And for that reason, we will give it, because it was about, I said, 10% as strong, we'll go 4 out of 10. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing too bad. But for me personally, if I'm going for a general body spray, that would be a little bit of a step up for me just to stop me from smelling. I'd rather go for like a fragrance around £15, whether that's like a Cool Water or even a David Beckham scent that you can just throw in your bag. But what we'll do, we'll head back, we'll count up all the scores, and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts. So there we are, that is it for today. Normally I'm sitting at my desk by this time telling you how many steps I've done. I have the fragrance in my hand. Because my mum and dad are back now, I had to rush and put it back in his room so he didn't know that I'd sprayed it. But how did the Champneys Active Body Spray, how did it score today based on the 5 rounds we did? Well, it did okay. It got 29 out of 50. Look, what's it been marked down on? It's been marked down on the fact it doesn't have strong projection because it is a body spray. And it's really, for me, it's not that I tried it last night just because they weren't around, and I'm very much like body sprays that do spray like a fragrance. I do. And I also completely expect, as I've been mentioning all along, body sprays not to last as long as an actual fragrance. But I think £15, when I think about it, I gave 6 for price test value for money, and obviously I've given 1 for projection. That's where it's kind of scored pretty poorly, longevity and projection. I just don't think I'd want to pay £15 for something I can't really smell, knowing that I can actually get a fragrance that will do that job instead, and will not only mask the smell if you're trying to keep nice and clean. There's plenty of dumb retrains you can throw in your bag that can also make you smell nice, and I just feel, for me, it would be redundant. It's fine, it absolutely smells very mass pleasing, easy to pull off, that's where it's done well. But there's fragrances out there that can do that job. And look, I'm really intrigued. I'd like to try some more body sprays, actual proper body sprays in the near future. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Obviously I've got to do some more candle reviews, but I'd also be interested just to try some other fragrance products. And body sprays, I think, is an area we could look into a bit more, because I speak so highly of the Lush ones, but they are just like fragrances. Can we find some good body sprays out there? that might be my mission this year, is find like a really good body spray, not just the Lush ones that you could buy and try and hopefully make you stand out from the crowd. But this one doesn't do that, but it ticks the boxes. It just smells clean, masculine, easy to wear. And if you want something like that in your bag, then look, these are maybe okay to look for. But if you want something for more performance, more projection, stick to fragrances, because that's what we all love the best. But anyway, thank you very much for watching today. Back at work tomorrow, so there will be a drive along video. Gonna have a little think now about what's going to be in it. But yeah, hopefully you'll join me for that. Catch you later.